In a shocking turn of events, Danielle Colby has been convicted in the death of Frank Fritz, the beloved treasure hunter from American Pickers. The courtroom drama unfolded with jaw-dropping revelations, leaving fans reeling and questioning everything they thought they knew about the hit TV show. But now, as justice is served, we say our final goodbye to this twisted chapter in reality TV history. Stay tuned, because what you're about to hear will leave you speechless. What do you think about this outcome? Could there be a truth we've yet to uncover? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit like, and share if you're as shocked as we are. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do it now so you don't miss the intense twists coming up. Danielle Colby, the heart and soul of American Pickers, has gone from reality TV star to entangled in a criminal scandal. She is accused of orchestrating a murder plot targeting Mike Wolfe, which led to Frank Fritz's death. When the film crew arrived, they were shocked to find her there and were denied permission to film, despite her crucial role on the team. What turned this beloved woman into a villain? Why was Frank, whom she once considered family, the victim? Mike Wolfe, after everything, ultimately accused Danielle of being the true perpetrator. At the Davenport, Iowa courthouse in December 2024, Danielle stepped in as an unwilling witness. Initially, she tried to maintain neutrality, avoiding taking sides in the battle between the two men who were once the iconic brotherly figures of American Pickers. But as the investigation deepened, unexpected evidence surfaced, thrusting her name onto the suspect list. The FBI began to take notice. Danielle's testimony, combined with heated arguments from both sides' lawyers, turned the trial into a media frenzy. The hidden complexities of the love triangle between her, Mike, and Frank slowly began to unravel, revealing a heartbreaking truth about loyalty and betrayal. The trial of Mike Wolfe, the star of American Pickers, captivated all eyes. He was accused of murdering his close colleague, Frank Fritz, who passed away on October 1, 2024. Initially, the death was believed to be a stroke, but suspicions arose after traces of nerve agent were found in Frank's blood, turning the truth upside down. The FBI searched Mike's home and discovered Frank's journal, which hinted at a motive for murder, along with a vial of poison carefully hidden away. Prosecutor Sarah Harrove, with over 20 years of experience, declared, "Mike Wolfe is not just a TV star. He's a man willing to do anything to protect his empire. We will prove he poisoned Frank Fritz, his former brother, to conceal his greed." The encrypted messages between Mike and Danielle, along with a $175,000 transfer, only fueled the suspicion of a meticulously planned conspiracy. Sarah Harrove, the seasoned prosecutor, led the case with sharp precision. She presented messages recovered from backup servers, including one Danielle wrote just before Frank was found unconscious. "He's alone. No one will check on him until tomorrow." Mike's response, "Handled. Delete the message." Harrove emphasized, "These words reveal a cold-blooded plan. Mike Wolfe, with the help of Danielle Colby, eliminated Frank Fritz to protect the American Pickers brand." She also highlighted a $175,000 transfer from one of Mike's shell companies to Danielle, calling it hush money, meant to buy her silence. Mike's defense team, led by renowned attorney Jonathan Kessler from Chicago, strongly countered the accusations. Kessler argued that the messages had been distorted and were insufficient to prove intent to murder. He claimed the $175,000 transfer was a legitimate business transaction tied to American Pickers' international accounts. Mike Wolfe is the victim of a smear campaign. Kessler declared. There is no concrete evidence linking him to Frank's death. These charges are merely an attempt to divert attention from the truth. Kessler's defense caused an uproar in the courtroom, placing Danielle at the center of growing suspicion. When the prosecutor revealed the military-grade nerve agent found in Mike's garage, a substance banned for civilian use, Kessler struck back sharply. My client is a professional antiques collector, he argued. That vial, according to experts, is a relic from a wartime medical kit. There are no traces of Frank Fritz's DNA, no signs the vial was opened, and no evidence linking it to the death. This is nothing more than malicious speculation. He presented tax records and photos from 2016, showing Mike proudly displaying his historical pharmaceutical collection in an episode of American Pickers that had since been removed. Mike is a history enthusiast, not a poisoner, Kessler emphasized, causing doubt to ripple through the jury. On the fourth day of the trial, Danielle Colby took the witness stand, her eyes filled with anxiety and her voice trembling. She spoke of the changes in Mike's behavior after Frank left the show in 2021, saying that Mike became obsessed with being the sole face of American Pickers. She recalled Mike's threatening words. If Frank doesn't step back, I'll make him stay silent forever. After Frank's death, Danielle began to fear for her own safety. She admitted to seeing Mike bring a strange vial into the office, but claimed she didn't know it was poison. However, Prosecutor Kessler pointed out over 200 messages between her and Mike, many discussing the drug and Frank's schedule, and questioned why she didn't report it to the police. Danielle countered that the $175,000 transfer was for business purposes, not hush money. Prosecutor Sarah Harrove seized the moment, sharply pressing Danielle. Did you handle Frank's medication the day before he died? Danielle hesitated, then replied, I just checked to make sure he took the right dosage. Sometimes he forgets. I knew exactly what he was taking and how much. The courtroom held its breath. This testimony revealed that she was intimately familiar with the dosages, a detail that aligned with the use of the nerve agent. Harrove pushed further. Ms. Colby, how could you know the exact dosage unless you intentionally intervened? You provided this information to Mike, didn't you? Danielle stammered. I just wanted to help Frank. This inadvertent confession prompted the FBI to launch a separate investigation, now considering Danielle as a potential mastermind. After Danielle's testimony, Mike Wolf stood up, his voice filled with rage. I didn't kill Frank. Danielle is the one obsessed with controlling American Pickers. She always said Frank was a burden, that the show would be better without him. Mike accused Danielle of bringing the vial of poison into the office and pressuring him to delete messages to cover up her true intentions. He asserted that the $175,000 was Danielle's demand to keep quiet about the shady dealings of the show. She was the one monitoring Frank, not me, Mike emphasized. His shocking testimony stirred doubt in the courtroom and the public, shifting all eyes onto Danielle. Less than 10 minutes later, Judge Linda Mangrove stood up, her voice stern. This court hereby suspends the arguments. Witness Danielle Colby is now officially under investigation as a secondary party in this case. The courtroom fell into stunned silence. From a witness, Danielle had now become a potential suspect. The murder case of Frank Fritz continued to sink deeper into mystery, with conflicting accusations and the truth still beyond reach. After the trial of the century in November 2024, Danielle Colby, the heart of American Pickers, became the focus of the FBI. Her inadvertent testimony in court, revealing detailed knowledge of Frank Fritz's medication, along with accusations from Mike Wolf that she was the true perpetrator, shifted the FBI's suspicions toward her. A raid on Danielle's home in Davenport, Iowa, uncovered shocking evidence, pushing her from a witness to the primary suspect in the high-profile murder case. Is Danielle truly the mastermind, or is she merely a pawn in a larger conspiracy? Just 48 hours after the trial, Special Agent Emily Rivera, an expert in financial crimes and homicide, ordered a search of Danielle's home. In the early hours, an FBI task force, along with local police, sealed off the neighborhood and focused on her private office, where records from American Pickers and her clothing store were kept. Rivera coldly remarked, "Danielle's behavior doesn't resemble that of an innocent witness." Inside a safe hidden behind a bookshelf, agents discovered an encrypted hard drive containing surveillance footage from near Frank's home on the night of his death, October 1st, 2024. Analysis revealed that Danielle had taken the footage from the security company before it was handed over to the police, an act viewed as intentional evidence concealment. After decoding, the surveillance footage became the fatal blow. One camera captured Danielle driving to Frank's house at 10:30 p.m. on October 1st, just hours before he was found unconscious. She entered through the back door, carrying a small bag, and left after 15 minutes. Image enhancement software confirmed the bag contained a glass vial identical to the nerve agent found at Mike's house. But it didn't end there. Another video showed Danielle returning to the security company at 2:00 a.m., requesting a copy of the footage for security review just before it was handed over to the police. This explained the mysterious disappearance of the original footage, further raising suspicions about her true intentions. Prosecutor Sarah Harrove, leading the case against Mike, immediately launched her own investigation into Danielle. In Danielle's bedroom, the FBI discovered a wooden box containing a glass vial identical to the one found at Mike's house, with her fingerprints and traces of nerve agent matching the forensic analysis of Frank's medication. Even more chilling, a handwritten note inside the box, in Danielle's handwriting, detailed the dosage and how she had mixed the poison into Frank's medication, directly contradicting her testimony that she was only checking his medication to help him. Harrove declared, "Danielle Colby is not just an accomplice. She may be the mastermind, orchestrating everything to frame Mike Wolf." In a recent statement, Mike Wolf vehemently denied any involvement with the poison vial, his voice filled with anger. "I don't know what that vial is. Danielle brought it to me and told me to keep it secret." The FBI uncovered encrypted messages from Danielle to Mike after Frank's death. "The vial is still there. Don't open it." A former American Pickers employee, who wished to remain anonymous, testified to the FBI that Danielle had asked him to send a gift, a small box matching the vial, to Mike's house in late September 2024, just days before Frank's death. These revelations further strengthened the accusations that Danielle intentionally set Mike up to cover her own crime. Prosecutor Sarah Harrove argued that Danielle Colby not only framed Mike Wolf, but also orchestrated a sophisticated plan to eliminate Frank Fritz, seize control of American Pickers' finances, and shift the blame onto others. She hides behind a facade of feminism to conceal her crimes, Harrove declared. The FBI discovered that Danielle controlled offshore accounts receiving $3.2 million from the show's shady transactions, with $450,000 withdrawn just days before Frank's death. A forensic audit revealed she transferred part of the money into a personal account in Puerto Rico, where she purchased a luxury property shortly after the incident. These pieces of evidence, along with the discoveries in Danielle's home, not only solidified the accusations against her, but also opened the door for a re-examination of Mike's legal status, though he still faced financial charges. Danielle Colby, once the heart and soul of American Pickers, now stands at the center of the case as the prime suspect. The financial evidence, from the $450,000 withdrawal to the property in Puerto Rico, paints a picture of a woman with a deep and troubling motive. Her upcoming trial promises to be a legal battle like no other, as the FBI continues to dig into her role in Frank's death. Once a sharp coordinator, Danielle now faces accusations of being the mastermind, manipulating both Mike and the show to serve her personal ambitions. Will she be able to prove her innocence, or will the mounting evidence seal her fate? American Pickers was once a story of friendship and passion, with Frank Fritz, Mike Wolf, and Danielle Colby forming the perfect trio. Frank and Mike, like brothers, traveled across the United States hunting for antiques, while Danielle, with her wit and bold style, managed the archaeology office. They built the show from the ground up in 2010, becoming icons of reality TV. But behind the spotlight, cracks began to appear in 2018, when Frank faced health issues, chronic back pain, and Crohn's disease that slowed him down on their journey. According to an anonymous former production assistant, Danielle began calling Frank a burden in private conversations with Mike, planting the idea that the show would thrive if Mike were the sole face. She convinced the producers to reduce Frank's screen time, using his health issues as an excuse for his inability to handle long trips. Danielle also encouraged Mike to distance himself from Frank, turning their once close friendship into a cold, business-like relationship to protect the brand. An encrypted message from 2020, discovered by the FBI, revealed her plot. Frank needs to stay in Iowa. He has to shine on his own. I'll handle the rest, Danielle wrote to Mike, marking the first step in her plan to isolate Frank. Mike Wolf, though reluctant, ultimately succumbed to the pressure from Danielle Colby and the producers to protect American Pickers. In court, he choked up, saying, "I didn't want to leave Frank behind, but Danielle made me believe it was the only way to save the show." He admitted to letting Danielle run everything, trusting she was right, but now he deeply regretted it. "Losing Frank is the greatest pain of my life. I was wrong to trust her." Starting in 2022, Danielle pressured Mike to transfer ownership of the American Pickers brand to her, threatening to expose shady financial dealings. An encrypted message from 2023, recovered by the FBI, revealed her blackmail. "Sign the contract, or the world will know about this money. You have no choice." Cornered, Mike signed the agreement in August 2023, just days before Danielle received $175,000 from a shell company, a payment the FBI suspects was hush money. Before his death on October 1, 2024, Frank Fritz documented his loneliness in a journal that was recovered by the FBI. He wrote, "Every time I walked in, I heard whispers. I felt like an outsider in my own show." Since 2018, as his health declined due to chronic back pain and Crohn's disease, Frank felt increasingly isolated. Danielle, with her growing influence, persuaded the producers to reduce his screen time, citing health reasons. By July 2021, Frank was officially removed from American Pickers, with the public explanation being health issues. But he believed that Danielle had manipulated Mike to push him out, turning their once close friendship into a painful memory. Danielle Colby, once a skilled manager, became the prime suspect in Frank Fritz's murder. She accelerated her plan to remove Frank starting in 2021, holding secret meetings with Mike and the producers, emphasizing that Frank no longer fit with the dynamic direction of the show. After Frank left, Danielle solidified her power, taking control of American Pickers' finances and offshore accounts that received $3.2 million from shady transactions. She leveraged the show's name to promote her vintage clothing store, while also appearing more frequently on screen. A former employee told the FBI about a 2023 argument when Danielle threatened Mike. "Frank is done, and you'll be next if you don't listen." The threat left Mike living in fear, too intimidated to challenge her. So the truth has finally come to light. Danielle Colby, the mastermind behind it all, can no longer escape responsibility. What do you think about what has happened? Is there more to this story than meets the eye? Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments, hit like if you found this video interesting, and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss more shocking updates. See you in the next video. In February 2025, the Davenport, Iowa courtroom erupted once again as Danielle Colby stood trial for the murder of Frank Fritz. Prosecutor Sarah Harrove opened the trial with a sharp argument, describing Danielle as a cold manipulator who staged Frank's death to solidify her power. She presented security footage from near Frank's house, showing Danielle arriving at 10:00 p.m. on October 1st, 2024. Carrying the vial of nerve agent and leaving 15 minutes later. Harrove accused Danielle of deleting the original footage and planting the vial at Mike's house to frame him. Danielle didn't just eliminate Frank, she intended to destroy Mike to take full control of American Pickers, Harrove declared, leaving the courtroom in stunned silence. Danielle's defense team, led by veteran attorney Margaret Wilson, fiercely countered the accusations. With over 20 years of experience, Wilson argued that the evidence had been distorted to blame Danielle. "My client had no motive to kill Frank. She has been made a scapegoat to cover up the mistakes of Mike and the producers," Wilson asserted. She argued that the security footage was unclear, and that the vial of poison at Mike's house showed no fingerprints from Danielle. However, the financial evidence and encrypted messages weakened Wilson's argument, causing her defense to falter in front of the jury. On the fifth day, Danielle took the witness stand, her voice trembling and her demeanor defensive. She denied all accusations, insisting that she only visited Frank on the night of October 1st, 2024, to check on his health, and that the vial of poison in her bag was a decorative gift for Mike. When questioned about the deleted security footage, she hesitated. "I just wanted to ensure the safety of the neighborhood. I wasn't trying to hide anything." But when prosecutor Sarah Harrove presented a handwritten note found at Danielle's house, detailing the dosage of the nerve agent, she fell silent, only saying, "I don't know where it came from." An encrypted message sent to Mike, "The vial is placed. Don't open it," further shattered her credibility before the jury. Lisa Fritz, Frank's sister, gave a heartbreaking testimony on behalf of the family. Her voice choked with emotion. She said, "Frank trusted Danielle like family, but she betrayed him. He felt isolated, abandoned, and now we know why." Lisa shared that Frank had confided in her about how Danielle and Mike would whisper behind his back, making him suspicious of their intentions. Combined with Frank's journal, Lisa's testimony painted a harsh picture of deliberate isolation, further solidifying Danielle's image as a ruthless manipulator in the eyes of the jury. Prosecutor Sarah Harrove presented irrefutable forensic evidence. The vial found at Danielle's house contained her fingerprints and traces of nerve agent matching the toxin found in Frank's blood. The handwritten note, confirmed to be in Danielle's handwriting, detailed how to mix the poison, directly contradicting her testimony. Financial records revealed that Danielle controlled offshore accounts receiving $3.2 million from American pickers, with $450,000 withdrawn just before Frank's death, solidifying a financial motive. Former cameraman Jason Miller testified that Danielle had torn pages from Frank's notebook in 2020 and told Mike in 2021 that Frank was the biggest problem. These pieces of evidence sealed Danielle's fate. On February 28, 2025, Danielle Colby was convicted of first-degree murder, obstruction of justice, and financial fraud. She was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. One juror, a retired teacher, stated, "From the footage, testimony to the encrypted messages, everything proved Danielle had planned and executed the crime with cold precision. Her testimony was unconvincing, and we could not ignore the pain she caused." The courtroom fell silent as Danielle, pale and emotionless, was handcuffed and led away. The Fritz family embraced each other in tears, finding some solace as justice was served. The verdict sent shockwaves through the public, especially among American Pickers fans. On X, the hashtags "Justice for Frank" and "Danielle Guilty" became global trends, with over 3 million posts in 48 hours. Fans called Danielle a traitor, heartbroken to learn she had isolated Frank since 2018, manipulated Mike, and meticulously planned the murder. One user, SPickersFan92, wrote, "I grew up with Frank and Mike. Danielle was once my idol, but she destroyed everything. Frank forever." A small group used the hashtag #FreeDanielle to defend her, claiming she was framed, but their voices were quickly drowned out by a wave of outrage. Mike Wolf chose action over words. He donated $500,000 from his personal funds to the Crohn's Disease Foundation, the illness Frank battled throughout his life, and announced plans to open a small museum in Iowa to showcase the antiques he and Frank had found together. In an Instagram post on April 5, 2025, Mike wrote, "I can't change the past, but I will keep Frank's legacy alive. He was the heart of American Pickers, not me." The post received 1.2 million likes and thousands of supportive comments. When asked about Danielle, Mike simply said, "Justice has been served. I just want Frank to rest in peace." Under public pressure, History Channel canceled American Pickers in early May 2025, calling the case an irreparable loss. One fan commented, "This is no longer about antique hunting, it's a tragedy. Mike can't rebuild this on his own." The decision marked the end of a once iconic show, leaving fans in sorrow and mourning for Frank Fritz, the treasure hunter with the warm smile. One year after Frank Fritz's death in 2025, a peaceful cemetery in the Iowa suburbs became the center of attention. Developers purchased the land to expand a historical museum, forcing the Fritz family to agree to relocate his grave to a private memorial just 20 meters away. Their only condition was no cameras, no circus. However, news leaked, turning the relocation into a media storm. Trucks, reporters, and antique hunters flocked to the site, cameras flashing non-stop around Frank's granite headstone. Public interest exploded, with the story spreading across social media and fan groups. Faced with public outcry, local authorities allowed a limited film crew to document the relocation, on the condition that all copyright proceeds would be donated to the Crohn's Disease Foundation. The Fritz family, though hesitant, ultimately agreed, hoping to keep Frank's legacy alive. They were heartbroken by the invasion of his peace, but also felt the love from his fans. The story of Frank, the treasure hunter with a big heart, continued to touch millions, even as American pickers faded into the past. Dr. Elilana Chambers, the renowned conservation archaeologist, was chosen to oversee the excavation of Frank Fritz's grave. With her expertise in handling sensitive artifacts, she emphasized, "Dignity is our top priority. We approach this with the utmost respect, just as we would any historical relocation." At 8:30 a.m., as the crane gently lifted the granite slab from the grave, the entire cemetery held its breath. Chambers, with the meticulous care of a scholar, ensured that every step honored the Fritz family's wishes, even as the media's gaze focused intently on the solemn process. Mike Wolf stood quietly at a distance from the crowd, his eyes red, whispering as the preservation chamber was revealed. This is what Frank wanted. He recalled that Frank had once joked about wanting to be buried with his favorite items and memorabilia. "We thought he was just kidding," Mike sighed. But after the stroke in 2022, he turned that dream into reality. As the chamber was opened, Mike was deeply moved by Frank's meticulousness. Frank had quietly created a personal museum, not only preserving antiques, but also the stories of compassion and kindness that defined him. Inside the preservation chamber, soft lighting illuminated an impressive Americana collection, carefully curated by Frank in his later years. Dr. Chambers, with 20 years of experience, was astonished. This is not just a collection, it's a historical narrative through the eyes of an extraordinary person. Among the highlights was a pristine 1934 Indian motorcycle discovered in an Iowa barn in 2019, worth over $300,000. Yet, as Mike put it, its true value cannot be measured in money. Nearby, a wooden box contained handwritten letters by Thomas Edison, revealing a secret collaboration with a female inventor that could rewrite the history of American science. Amid the treasures, one small corner brought tears to everyone's eyes. A collection of handcrafted toy cars, each bearing the name of a child from the Iowa Children's Hospital. For years, Frank had volunteered to teach the children how to make vintage car models as a therapeutic exercise. After each session, he kept one car as a memento of friendship and hope. Frank never boasted about this on television, a hospital staff member shared. The collection stood as a testament to his big heart, extending far beyond the spotlight of American pickers. At the foot of the casket, a small, embossed leather journal shocked everyone. It wasn't in the preservation chamber, but placed separately, as if Frank had wanted it to be found last. The journal, unopened at the scene, promised to reveal his deepest thoughts on American pickers, Danielle, Mike, and the years of isolation he endured. Dr. Chambers, with careful hands, passed it to the Fritz family, leaving behind a great question. Would these pages shed more light on hidden secrets, or simply deepen the pain of a man who lived and died for his passion? Frank Fritz's small leather journal was not just a catalog of antiques, but a collection of stories about the people, farmers, artisans, mechanics that he met along his journey. It revealed that Frank was not just a collector, but an unofficial historian, capturing slices of America through the lives of ordinary people. The Fritz family decided to make the collection public, but insisted it be permanently housed in a museum in Frank's hometown. Lisa Fritz shared, "Frank spent his life bringing forgotten treasures back into the light. Now, they will continue telling the stories he cherished." Over 3 days, conservators meticulously cataloged each item, noting their locations and Frank's handwritten annotations. The process was streamed live, drawing millions of viewers, with historians providing context. Each item revealed, from the 1934 Indian motorcycle to Thomas Edison's letters, broke viewing records, not just for their material value, but for an unseen side of Frank. A storyteller, preserving the history of everyday life. The relocation of Frank's remains took place quietly afterward, with his casket transferred to its new resting place in a procession of vintage cars driven by friends and colleagues. Mike Wolfe and the Fritz family designed a memorial in the style of classic American roadside architecture, modest yet perfect for Frank, who spent his life exploring the back roads. Mike, with deep sorrow, said, "Frank was the soul of American pickers. This memorial keeps his spirit alive." Lisa Fritz added, "This is how we honor him. No fanfare, just love and respect." The memorial became a symbol, drawing those who wanted to remember a treasure hunter with a big heart. Following the event, small museums and historical societies across the United States saw a surge in visitors, a phenomenon the media dubbed the Fritz effect. The public began rediscovering community heritage, the stories and artifacts that had been long forgotten. Frank's journal, digitized, became the foundation for an initiative to collect the stories of ordinary Americans. The Fritz Scholarship was established to support research into rural history. 1 year after his death, Frank, the quiet keeper of Americana's fragments, created a profound impact, changing the way people viewed the value of everyday things. Though Danielle Colby's conviction brought justice, the pain for American pickers fans still lingers. Reports about the FBI's involvement in Frank's death sparked a wave of shock. New questions emerged, causing the tragedy, which seemed to have concluded, to flare up once more. The Fritz family, still grieving, found themselves caught in the media storm and lingering doubts. Are there more secrets yet to be revealed? Or has the truth about Frank's death truly been uncovered? The answer remains somewhere in the shadows. Frank Fritz, with his bright eyes and heart full of love for history, was the soul of American pickers. Alongside Mike Wolfe, he wandered down dusty roads, uncovering forgotten corners and bringing relics back into the light. To the fans, Frank was more than just an antique hunter. He was a symbol of sincerity, his childlike smile lighting up whenever he discovered a rare treasure. American Pickers was more than a TV show. It was a journey to preserve the memories of America. Though Frank is no longer with us, his legacy, through his collection, journal, and love for history, lives on. But Frank's final story turned out to be a tragedy full of mystery. His death on October 1st, 2024, was shrouded in lies and betrayal. Danielle Colby, who had stood by his side for over a decade, was now serving a life sentence for murder, obstruction of justice, and financial fraud. Yet, the once solid bonds of American pickers have shattered, leaving many unanswered questions. Though the case has reached a verdict, it still holds secrets waiting to be uncovered. FBI investigators continue to dig deeper, searching for the truth behind Frank Fritz's death. New evidence, from encrypted messages to shady financial transactions, suggests that the story may be more complex than what was revealed in court. Is Danielle Colby the only mastermind, or are there other forces at play behind the scenes? The truth remains hidden somewhere in the shadows, and every new clue promises to shed light on yet another dark corner of this gripping case. The story of Frank Fritz, the treasure hunter with a big heart, is far from over. If you want to stay updated on the shocking twists and truths gradually unfolding, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. The journey for justice for Frank, along with his lasting legacy in the hearts of his fans, will continue to be told. Don't miss out, because the truth is still waiting to be brought to light.